What's going on? Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Jesse, if we don't know each other already. I wanted to make this video for men on how to build your glutes because I run a coaching program called the Modern Man Program, and believe it or not, several guys over the course of the last few months have asked me for exercises focusing on the glutes, and it's something that we generally see in the fitness industry as being a female dominant muscle group to train. But you know, now that I think about it, it's been a priority of my own to not only improve my legs but improve my glutes, my hamstrings, as those have been a little bit neglected over the years. And it makes sense. Guys want to fill out their pants, fill out their jeans, and I wanted to make this video because it's something that I've personally been prioritizing, and it's something that a lot of my clients have been working on as well. So I'll start off by giving you a workout routine setup for someone who is particularly looking to build their glutes. And what I would recommend is training legs at least twice per week. So you could include glute exercises on both those leg workouts, whether it's Monday and Friday or Tuesday and Saturday, whatever days you put them on. Make sure you have a couple of days rest in between, obviously, but that's the bare minimum. If you're someone who is looking to build your legs or your glutes, whichever one, I would say if you can get twice per week leg workouts in, that would be terrific. Generally, when I've taken this approach, I've had one leg day that has been more quad focused, where I'll either do a squat or a leg press or even some sort of lunge or Bulgarian split squat as my primary exercise for that day. So meaning I'll start with that workout and I'll do 4 or 5 sets of it. And then I'll go on and I will train hamstrings or glutes on that quad focused leg day. So it's not only a quad day, it's just more dominant on quads. And the same goes for the hamstring day. My main movement on that day might be a dumbbell RDL, or it might be, generally it's a dumbbell RDL. So I still do train quads on that day, but I will do probably 1 or 2 more exercises for the hamstrings, and I'll make sure that I'm fresh with energy at the start of that primary movement. So if you're looking to build your glutes, one approach you could take is on those 2 leg days, you could do glute focused exercises on both days, whether that be a barbell hip thrust or whether that be some more accessory type exercises like a kickback, like a cable glute kickback, or even just a bridge on the floor, like a glute bridge on the floor. Whatever it is, you could train some glutes on both days. Another way you could do it is you could have like a quad focused day and then a glute focused day, and obviously you train hamstrings on both of those days like I'm saying before. But that glute focused day, there would be a primary workout that is more glute focused, like that barbell hip thrust. And that is the primary movement that I like the most, that I recommend, that I personally feel the most glute activation from. You're probably going to get some glute activation from, a barbell back squat or some other variation of a squat, and even like some sort of lunges and stuff like that. But I find that as far as targeting the glutes and actually feeling sore in your butt the next couple days, the barbell hip thrust is most ideal. And if you're someone who has a massive priority of building your glutes and your legs, and this is like the top of mind thing that you want to do, another option of what you could do is you could actually train legs 3 times a week. Make sure you're obviously eating enough food to recover and getting enough sleep and all that as well. But this is generally for someone who's going to be working out 5 to 6 times a week. And for those 3 days, what you could do is you could have a quad focused leg day. Middle of the week, you could have a hamstring focused leg day. And then later in the week, you could have a glute focused leg day. So on the glute focused day, the main movement would be that barbell hip thrust. On the hamstring focused leg day, the first and primary movement would likely be some variation of an RDL, whether that's with a barbell or with dumbbells. And then on the quad focused leg day, if you want to do a barbell back squat or a leg press or some sort of Bulgarian split squat, something that's, really going to be heavily quad dominant. So that's for very advanced lifters, people who are really trying to focus on the legs. But like I was saying before, for a glute focused leg day and someone who's looking to build their glutes, the primary movement that I recommend starting off with is that barbell hip thrust, or barbell glute bridge, some will call it as well. And I'm going to walk you through how to set that up, because it's actually kind of a tricky exercise. It can be a little bit uncomfortable in a crowded gym to set yourself up with this exercise and not feel sort of uncomfortable about it. So what you want to do is you want to find like a flat bench, or even a decline bench works really well too. And you want to set yourself up by sitting on the floor with your back against the bench, and then you're going to roll the barbell right over your hips. So the starting position is actually going to be the barbell on the floor, you know, right over your hips. And literally what you're going to do is you're just going to press your hips up into position. Obviously it's a hip focused movement where your hips are going to be coming down and then back up. You ideally want to create like a 90-degree angle between your lower part of your leg, like your calf and your thigh. So it may take a bit of time to really get the footing right, see where your footing is best, where you're going to feel it more so in your glutes as opposed to, say, your hamstrings or somewhere else. And I also recommend grabbing like a cushion or even a mat of some sort to put under the barbell, just to prevent, you know, being in pain when you're moving the weight. And during this movement, you want to be pressing through your heels. So you don't want most of the weight on your toes. You want your heels to be holding most of the weight. And this is an exercise that once you get the proper form down and you're comfortable with the setup and getting into place, you should realistically be able to do a substantial amount of weight. Even if you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, even if you are even like don't have a massive amount of training experience, the glutes and the legs are such a big muscle group in the body that you can handle a lot of weight, right? So don't be afraid to, once you get the form down, maybe have a trainer at your gym double check your form, or maybe you take a clip of it at the gym, send it over to me, and I can give you my feedback on it. But don't be scared to go heavier on this exercise. So this barbell hip thrust is definitely the primary movement that I recommend for people who are looking to build their glutes. At least once per week, if you could do this first on a leg day so that you're fresh, you've got energy. Like, don't do it at the end of your workout, or don't do it after you've done squats or lunges or other really taxing compound movements. Not to say you can't do a different exercise first on like a quad focused leg day or something like that, but you should have at least one day in the week, in my opinion, that you're able to kind of get this out of the way first or second in your order of exercises. And then other exercises that are good for targeting the glutes are going to be more so like accessory exercises. So like I mentioned before, like putting a strap around your ankle and doing glute kickbacks on a cable machine. Like, that's a good option, as well as some gyms have a machine version of this kickback exercise. I know several gyms have like a kickback machine that you can use. So those are two that I personally have done and that I feel the activation of my glutes pretty significantly. And then there's other exercises that could also help build your glutes that aren't necessarily known for being glute focused, like a barbell back squat, or really any variation of a squat, like a goblet squat. Is going to, activate the glutes a little bit, maybe not as much as a barbell hip thrust, but it can be beneficial in, helping improve your glutes, kind of as a secondary muscle group there. And same with like lunges, not ideally walking lunges, which are more quad focused, but like stationary lunges where you take a step forward and then return back to the starting position can have a bit more glute activation, which I've found to be actually the reason of some soreness in my glutes, which I've done with a barbell on my back, and I've also done with holding some dumbbells as well. And some other movements that are pretty good for targeting the glutes are like hip abduction movements. So that could be done on a machine. Most gyms will have like a hip abduction machine, as well as like resistance bands that you can put around your thighs or your knees, will also help activate the glutes pretty well too. So you've got a lot of tools now that you can incorporate into your leg day, whether it's a barbell hip thrust, whether it's cable kickbacks or a machine style kickback. Or, you know, whether it's doing hip abductions, you know, and putting a resistance band around your knees and your hips. But there's a bunch of tools now you can use to start activating your glutes, start strengthening and building your glutes as well. And again, I recommend training legs 2 to 3 times per week if it's really a priority of yours. The more frequency, the better, but just make sure that you're able to recover, you're eating enough food, you're getting enough sleep, because the last thing you want to do is be training legs while you're still sore from a previous leg day. So if you are training it 3 times a week, it's going to be a bit tricky as far as your regimen and setting it up. Like maybe you could do a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday or something like that. But you just don't want to have, you know, back-to-back days, and you don't want to be in a position where you're having to train legs when they're already sore as well. So try to be smart about that. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you'd like any personal help from my side of things. Feel free to check out my other social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. I'm very active on, and hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys on the next video.